As you obviously know, my name is Larry Lamphier. Tom is recording some of this for some video or some social media clips and some other purposes, but I appreciate the opportunity. You know who I am. What you may not know is who I'm with, the company, and the background of the company. I'm actually with Advocoach, which is a division of a company by the name of Franchise Source Brands International, FSBI. And there's two main functions within FSBI. One is that's all centers around coaching. One is business coaching, and the other is career coaching. And between the two organizations, there's about 450 of us that are active and working on developing employment for people all across the country. The main company, FSBI, has a third function, and they work with companies to develop franchises. One of the most well-known right now is Menchie's. Back in the early 90s, Menchie's had gotten up to about 15 or 16 stores in California, which they owned. And building brick and mortar stores is expensive, and they were looking for a way to expand without having to put that much money into it. So they hit on franchising, and they got with FSBI to develop the franchise model and start marketing franchises. And today there are about 17,000 stores in 20 countries, and they've been very successful. So that's the three major functions that we do: business coaching, career coaching, and developing franchises. The other area that we've been involved in kind of tangentially is doing some development through Babson College with different enterprises that you may know about. We were on the advisory committee for Babson College when they developed the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Initiatives. And they also were early on developing, starting the show Shark Tank, which I have my own opinions of. But so we do get involved in those kind of things. More recently, we've gotten involved with a company in Toronto. The owner's name is John Warlow. He has written these 3 books. The first one is about doing business with large corporations. The second one, called Built to Sell, came about from his having an advertising communications marketing company, and he went to sell it. Tried to sell it, and he couldn't get the money he wanted for the business. He thought it was worth a lot more than what he could sell it for. So it really made him interested in what factors in a business make it more sellable than others. What elements of the business are attractive to a buyer. So he wrote the book Built to Sell, and it addresses these issues. And then through the University of Toronto, he started a research project of trying to identify what issues are and how much weight each of the issues, the pillars carry in valuing a business. And later, more recently, he's come out with the Automatic Customer, which talks about businesses that have systems to automatically sell to companies every month, or individuals every month. A good example of that may be a heating and air conditioning company that puts in furnaces and air conditioners, but they sell a maintenance contract, which you pay for monthly or annually, so you get a repeat customer out of it. The Automatic Customer is the concept. But we're going to center primarily around Built to Sell and what he calls the Value Builder Score. Interesting fact, 50% of the businesses today are owned by people that are over 50 years old. That is somewhat different than it has been in the past. The business ownership is aging. Also in this same study, 85% of the businesses, of 85% of the businesses, the owners all want to sell within 5 years. I'm not saying that exactly right, but what that means is the new generation, the millennials, see building a business and selling it as a product. In other words, they build a business, they get it profitable, they sell it and turn around and build another business.
They all think you're going to be a .com, huh?
They all think they're going to be a .com, but that is the new age of business today. So no matter how old you are, the point here is no matter how old you are, the general population of business owners is thinking about selling their business. Now, I want to say something that we're not talking about selling a business. What we're talking about, what I want to talk about, is the factors that make your business profitable and more valuable to sell. So that's what the issue we're dealing with. A few things I want to talk about. First is, company is measured by its valuation, and this is an accounting number of what the company is valued at. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. The secondly, it's sold as a multiple of that valuation, 2, 3, 4 times the valuation number. And finally, developing a worth by measuring its building value. Okay, valuation measures. Companies can be valued in a number of different ways: pre-tax profit, EBITDA. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Projected cash flow. All of these are accounting functions that Ed knows all about. Past and future sales. It's interesting. A lot of people think businesses are sold based on their sales value, and in fact, very few of them are. And there's some technical qualifications to sell based on your sales, and it goes on and on and on different ways. I sold a company for a lady whose husband had passed away, and they had 7 hearing aid stores, and the true valuation came in somewhere around $20,000 or $30,000. There just wasn't a lot there to sell, but she sold the business for almost $400,000. And the reason that what she sold it for was the value of each file, each patient's file. And that's what the buying company was expanding. And that's what they wanted to know, is how many clients do they have, and we'll pay you so much for each client. So there's all kinds of ways to value a business. Multiples are exactly as it says. If you say if we value a company at $300,000, you may sell it for $600 or $900 or some multiple of that. And finally, measuring the ability to increase the earnings and the value of a business is called a value builder score. This is the development the University of Toronto is working on. And currently we have about 30,000 businesses in the database that have taken this value builder score. It's about a 15-minute survey. And they want to, by the year 2025, have 100,000 businesses in the database, trying to validate the numbers. What the value builder score does is it calculates a score from 0 to 100, like a percentage, and it says that a multiple of 59% will get a multiple of 3.6 times its valuation. So if it's a company's valued at $50, you're going to sell it for something over $150. If your score is 80 or above, you'll increase the value. It'll be a value of 71% higher, or 6 times multiple is the way that works out. A lot of blank stares here. I know it gets a little confusing. Okay, what do you do? Where does that go? What do you do with that? The trick is trying to increase the value of your business without, if I got a slide here that works, without sinking your business, putting a bunch of cash into the business and sinking it. Okay, what are the 8 driving factors we're talking about? The first is financial performance. That's pretty obvious. The more, the better you generate cash, your financial performance, your income is better, the higher the value of the company. But the more critical factors are these next 7. The growth potential. How much can your company grow? Either more locations, more products, more sales. There's a number of growth factors. The Switzerland structure. Switzerland has existed for years outside of world wars and invasion because it's very isolated and it can keep itself protected from outside forces. So if your company is very protected and immune to outside demands, outside forces, that makes your company more valuable. There's very few companies in the world today that are protected from change. Teeter-totter value. There's a lot of companies out there that are making a profit but require cash. They have a lot of accounts receivable, accounts payable, that kind of thing. So when your company has a lot of debt, the valuation goes down because money has to be spent by the owner to pay off the debt. So they're less willing to pay you much money for the business. Hierarchy of reoccurring revenue. This is the kind of thing we were talking about, the automatic customer. How many ways do you have for customers to come back and keep buying from you over and over again? This, I've referred this book, Automatic Customer, to a number of clients of mine because it really is an eye-opener to some people, some of the ways that they can get repeat customers. Monopoly control. How much do you control of the market? How well can you control it? Do you have a moat around your business that you can control what you're doing? If you're a realtor, how much can you control what the market's doing? And there's a lot of factors involved here. Patents is one way to protect your business, and that's an example. Customer satisfaction. These last two I'm going to talk a little bit more about. I'm in the process of selling a business, about a $10 million business here in Mentor, and the buyers were looking at the business and going through all this analysis, and they asked the question, how happy are your customers? Oh, they're real happy. How happy are your customers? Well, what do you mean? I want you to show me evidence that your customers are satisfied with what you're doing, whether the products and services that you're providing. And the company could not provide that. And that's why you see this is being a larger and larger factor in the valuation of a company. You're seeing more online surveys. When you go online and you do something like, would you take a survey? That's what they're doing, is they're trying to measure customer satisfaction. And finally, hub and spoke is how much do you as the individual, are you centered around your business that you're the only one that can run it? Go a little more into customer satisfaction. I said more than I needed to before, but one of the more popular is a system called Net Promoter Score. And the real measure in this case is measuring whether a current customer will actually advise a friend that they should go to your company to buy from them. Will you promote your company? Will your customers promote your company for you? And there's a questionnaire system called Net Promoter Score that does that. And this is what the company that was buying this company in Mentor was really looking for. They wanted to know what that score was. And that was very important to them. And finally, the hub and spoke is, are you the center of the business? Is everything in the business centered around you? And if it's not, that makes your company more valuable, because when he sells the company, you sell the company, you're leaving. You're not going to be there anymore. How can the new owner run the company without the key person there? There was another company in Mentor that was a home service. I got corrected a number of times. It's not a home health service. They have aides that go into the home and help the elderly with medications or cooking or cleaning. This particular lady had 50 aides that she was managing and a number of customers, but she did everything. She wrote the call reports, she hired the people, she interviewed the clients, and nobody in the business could do anything without her involvement. She went to try to sell the business and there was no takers. Most of her possible buyers were competitive companies and they wanted to buy her customer list. Well, if she was to walk out as she wanted to, there would be no way for the new company, the new owners, to manage that company. So we finally got her to recognize that. We promoted a person from within, made her general manager, trained her how to run the company, and within a year, she sold the company for twice what she thought she could get for it after 4 years of trying to sell it and couldn't get anything for it. So this being the hub of the business is very detrimental when you go to sell your business. Okay, are you curious about your company? How many of you are business owners? Very good. How many of you wish you weren't? That's about how it always runs. You can go in. It's about a 15-minute survey. I'll give you information. Matter of fact, would you like to pass those out? It's about a 15-minute survey. You'll get a report back on your company and how you rate. You'll get a rating from 1 to 100. And you'll get a report that's 28 pages about your business. And what that does is adds to our database. And on this sheet I'm passing out is the link to do that survey. I would encourage everybody to do it. I get kudo points for getting the people to take the survey. Kudo points. If you'd like to sit down and go through the report once you get it, I'd be happy to spend an hour or so with you. There's no commitment, there's no charge. This is a service to the University of Toronto. Questions? No, just a check.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Going back to your first two slides, the first one you talked about 50% of the
50% of the businesses are owned by people over 50.
right, and then the second one was 85% we're going to sell in 5 years.
Think about the survey from Price Waterhouse was very careful about the way they worded it. They said people are constantly thinking about selling their business and plan on selling it in the next 5 years.
Right. I'm saying my point is that 85% includes quite a number of people that are reaching retirement age that are going to be selling. So it's not all just millennials. It's
No, it's not. But my point is, it's all age
a
groups.
good percentage of it is also the retirees.
Right.
Us retirees.
That's retired.
The ones with the smiles.
Yeah,
on
Ed
their
just
face.
went through this.
Yes.
Any other questions?
So is the industry, our industry's getting, our company's getting, within industry, getting bigger and bigger and bigger? How do you explain if 50% of business owners, I'm interested in that because I've been told that in my business, the average age of a mortgage loan originator is like 52 years old now. When I was a young guy, we were all like a bunch of young guys running around out there. So I keep wondering,
Well,
what are these young people doing?
You know, we talked about this Switzerland structure, about how you're protected against change. I would guess that in your industry, you may find a lot of you that are 25 or 30 years old, working for Quicken Loans, that you never talk to the client. Everything is online. So that industry is switching online. I actually worked with an insurance agent that he was converting his company from an interview, face-to-face sales function to purely online, so that he would get rid of his staff. Everything would be online. That's the only way. You know, my two sons go out and buy a car. They never go to a dealer. Absolutely never go to a dealer. They'll buy them online every time.
I have clients going through Quicken right now, and they may start online, but then Quicken is on the phone with them constantly. I mean, almost to the point where it's annoying me because they're constantly updating me. But I think people like Joe, only because I was in upper management in lending for years, the good ones, they are 50, 60 years old, and they've been doing it for 30 or 40 years.
A lot of people our age really value that personal contact.
Absolutely. My
The
clients,
millennials and
younger,
youngers.
they love somebody like Joe.
The millennials and younger don't seem to need that. We have one here that could testify.
I'm just shocked by that too, because one of my clients early on owned several homes, kind of like what you guys do, Fairport, Carmel, or whatever. He's got multiple homes all throughout Lake County and rents them. And he wanted to change everything to be online. And I said, who in the heck is going to give you all that information online before they even sign a contract? You know, I wouldn't give you my social security number online, you know, but that's me, you know, and
That's our generation.
I don't trust anybody. I mean, the cybersecurity.
We've actually been transferring a lot of our stuff to online, so that's why I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
But we actually started accepting payments via an app, and it's been awesome for me because I don't have to go door to door to the tenants that I know are going.
I don't think we want to couch this as being negative. It's
No,
just different.
it's just the way it is. It's different,
And we just changed our QuickBooks over to online. You can ask Joe, I could pull my hair out for weeks saying, I don't know, I hope this is a good idea because I'm kind of old school too. And But it's been great because it automatically uploads everything for me and it saves me like 8 steps.
If-
That's the point of having somebody young. It's
That's
willing to do that stuff.
It's
Because
a
I
lot
wouldn't know
for-
how to do anything that she's
Well,
doing.
not only that, you've got somebody to take you out of that hub position.
And I don't have any interest in doing half the stuff that she has. So,
Right. So if you're not interested, or you do take the survey and you know of somebody, again, when I do these talks, this is the 5th one I've done. When I do these talks, I always say, if you've got a friend that has a business that might be interested, give them this sheet of paper and have them fill it out. I get about half the people filling it out are the people that never came to this presentation I had never talked to. So I'd really encourage that if you've got a friend or somebody that has a business, have them fill it out.
One thing I would ask you to do, and I don't know if anybody else knows this, I'm sure they do because you've done these things more than I do anymore. Talk about Lake Start and what you're doing there.
I think Kip came to this group and
Did he?
talked, but that's okay. It was a couple of years ago. If you haven't noticed, I know everybody did because they brought the newspaper clipping in the meeting. A couple of weeks ago, we were on the front page of the paper
Right.
because we were starting into our 3rd year. Lake Start is a nonprofit, a group of mentors that are retired or in that classification of business freedom where they have a little free time. And we're donating our time to entrepreneurs that are trying to start a business, and we'll coach them through the process of getting their business started. We have an awful lot of contacts for, we found a legal firm that will donate their time for patent applications, for business creation, some accounting firms that will help set up QuickBooks Online for these people. We've got about 100 clients that have signed up. Only about 40 are active, which is typical. We've got Lake Start, I think, has right now 9 new businesses in Lake County. The intent of Lake Start is to create new businesses in Lake County and create jobs. We have 9 new businesses and 70 jobs that have been created.
How is that, do you and SCORE feed each other
No.
clients? So are you don't work together at all, but yet you kind of are similar, right?
SCORE does very little business coaching. The only thing they really do is accounting.
Oh, okay,
It's a whole other story.
okay,
We work pretty closely with SPDC,
okay,
and they have some excellent programs.
Jim Gray.
Jim Gray has some excellent courses that he gives on starting a business.
right.
You know, how to get registered with the state and all that kind of stuff, what you have to do. So we leave that to SBDC and to SCORE, if you will. What we're getting into is what do you have to do to get your business running? I've got this problem, I don't know what to do here. Is this product patentable? How do I organize my business?
Do you guys counsel people that have already started their business but want to take it to the next level?
We do. We're kind of selective because depending on how profitable the company is, we've had some companies come in that are very profitable and want free coaching. I take exception to that.
Right.
So the idea is to work with startups,
Right.
young entrepreneurs or startups.
Okay, how about old entrepreneurs?
Mike?
What percentage, if you know, of the spokes become the hub for the sales business?
Becoming the hub of the business is a real problem. If anybody really wants to learn more about that, I would advise them to read the book, The E-Myth Revisited. That's an excellent book that talks about a number of these factors, but it really does talk about how you can prevent becoming that hub. If you haven't read The E-Myth, it's about a young lady by the name of Sarah who was taught how to bake pies by her aunt as she grows up. And she becomes an adult, gets through college, gets married, has a family, and gets invited to make pies for any dinner she goes to or the church social or whatever. And she really gets to be known about how good a pie she has. And her friends talk her into starting a bakery. And the way the book talks about, I envision it like a Dunkin' Donuts store where you go in, you get a cup of coffee, you can sit down and eat a piece of pie, or you can buy a whole pie. The business becomes so successful that it's just overwhelming to her, and she's trying to do everything. And so it talks about how to get out of that and how not to do that. But that's something we try to guard against with every client we work with. But so many of them are still, they're in their infancy, that stage of business called irrelevance, where they really haven't got everything developed yet. So they haven't faced that one yet. So it's tough to talk about something that they haven't faced yet. But that's a good question.
What I was really driving at is it's nice to have a spoke that can become the hub of your business and take over for you. So you're grooming your spoke
Right.
to become the hub.
And that's what I was
What percentage of businesses are, it sounds like most of the people have to look outside to find the buyer.
Yeah, I've found that in most places there is that hidden gem that's back there as a customer service or a salesperson that can be groomed to be that spoke to replace the hub. And especially if it's a company trying to buy your company that has some management expertise and is going to give that person some management training and management support. You don't have to be as critical as the original founder does.
Are you talking about finding that spoke that would buy the business from not, okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Right,
Yeah, finding one of the members, yeah. Selling to an employee,
right.
yeah, that's always a possibility. I get called, many times I get called by people saying, this competitor came along and offered me so much money for my business. Is that a fair price? So we go into doing the valuation and going through this whole process to try to understand. This business in Menor I was talking about, that's how that started. They were offered X amount and we did a valuation. One way to evaluate a company, to value a company is on a cash out basis. If I just close the door and sell everything off, you're going to get 50% of the value of the inventory. You're going to collect 75% of your accounts receivable, that kind of thing. And in this case, if this man had just closed the door, sold everything off, and liquidated, he'd have had more money than if he had taken the competitor's offer. So it was a good question to ask: is this a fair offer? So if you're interested, fill that out. We'll get a survey back. Thank you for your Okay.
You guys didn't think you'd get away without a
No,
baseball.
no.
Shannon, can I have a tour?
Yeah.